Hello, my fellow skeptics out there. This is the Skeptical Skeptic back again with yet another video. And this time, I'm gonna be doing a political compass test for you all, seeing where I stand. I've already done a political compass test in the past, and, I got, you could probably assume I got, left wing, libertarian, which, I already know where I stand. I've already taken this, but, I thought I would, take it for you guys and, show you all where I stand on the issues because, why not? And, honestly, also, another thing is that the, political compass test, it's, easy, it's, easy content, and right now, I'm not lazy, I have so much stuff going on in life right now, and with work, and with, a bunch of other stuff, and my second channel, so it's just, a lot, and I'm just trying to get this out, so I don't think I would have been able to get the next Bible summary for this week, so I'm just doing this so you guys at least have some kind of content this Sunday. But anyway, yeah, and in regards to, oh, by the way, do you like my do you like my art? Do you like my art that I made? It's right there. I made it, so I got a sketchbook app, which means I'm able to, obviously draw online, which makes things a bit easier, even though I don't have a stylus pen, so it's just my fat fucking fingers, drawing the lines, and, but yeah, that's, my new art right there, that's my new avatar. Yes, it is true, I am not actually fat in real life, unlike the, Gravity Falls Seuss avatar I've been using. I use that basically because, one, I love Gravity Falls, it's a fantastic show, and also, questioning the question mark, for the skeptical skeptic, I thought that was very fitting, but this is, more accurate to how I actually look, if you've seen videos where, it's just me and not, in front of the camera, but anyway, yeah, so, tell me how you like my new art that I made for myself, it's my new avatar, and, anyway, oh, also, another thing I have to congratulate is that, I have been getting, a bunch of new subscribers lately. I don't know, a month ago, my subscriber count, I think it was at, around 30, maybe a bit more, and I gained, 10 subscribers over the past month, which is just very, I like it, but it's very strange to me because, I haven't correlated it with an uptick in view count, so, where are y'all coming from, my subscribers? Tell me, what made y'all subscribe? I have 42 subscribers now, or about that. It's just really weird, but also really cool. So, yeah, I'm definitely going for 50, and if I get to 50, maybe I'll do a subscriber special or something like that. But anyway, yeah, that's all I wanted to say, get off my chest. But now we are just going to get into it and talking about, the political compass and where I stand on it. So, let's start taking it. So, if you have been directed here from another site... So, before taking this test, please note that it is not a survey, and these aren't questions, they're propositions. To question the logic of individual ones that irritate you is to miss the point. Some propositions are extreme and some are moderate. That's how we can show whether or not you lean towards extremism or moderation on the compass. Your responses should not be overthought. Some of them are intentionally vague. Their purpose is to trigger reactions in the mind, measuring feelings and prejudices rather than detailed opinions on policy. All right, got it. All right, so let's get through this now. Just a few propositions to start with, concerning no less how you see the country and the world. All right. So this should be interesting. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Strongly agree. Definitely should serve humanity over, corporate interests. I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. I'm going to put disagree, because what do you mean by support? Obviously I am, patriotic in a lot of ways where, I want the country to do good and, succeed and stuff. I love my country, but, at the same time, I'd always support my country, whether it's right or wrong. No, I would, if the country was doing wrong, which it is doing a lot of wrong right now, I would obviously not support that and try to, change things. So, I'm going to put disagree and not strongly disagree because, there's sort of a little wiggle room where what do you mean by support? I mean, that could have different meanings, but yeah, I would say disagree. No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I mean, agree? I don't know. It's like, I guess agree. I mean, like, it sort of is like, I don't know, I, I guess it is sort of weird, like, it's a gray area where, like, you have all these, people who are, like, you know, I mean, like, I don't know, this is such a difficult question to answer because it's like, obviously you don't choose your country, so technically can you really feel, like, proud of, something that you were just born into by chance and, like, didn't necessarily, help in creating the founding of, but at the same time, like, I don't know, you could, like, the fact that you are living in a certain country and the fact that you have, like, if you have contributed to it and tried to, done your best to, try to make sure it goes in the right direction, I don't know, that could be a source of pride, I guess. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I tacitly agree because I feel like, a lot of people sort of get wrapped up in this, illogical, kind of obsession with, like, oh, it's my country. It's like, I mean, but it's not like you were born here through an act of random chance. You could have ended up somewhere else. It's like, I don't know. It's just like, it's sort of an illogical perspective, that kind of thing for me. But so I guess I tacitly agree with that statement. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. Okay, strongly disagree. Yeah, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Uh, Disagree. It could be the case in some cases, but not in all cases. I mean, like, just because someone dislikes, just because a country dislikes a country that you dislike does not mean that they are your friend. I mean, like, you know, like, for example, like, what is it? Like Islamic extremists, like, hate communists, and the United States hates communists. That doesn't mean Islamic extremists are necessarily America's friend. So it's just like, I definitely disagree with this one. It can be true in, like, some cases, but, not usually in all cases. And I don't think this is a good, I really don't think that would be a good, way of thinking to hold on to in terms of foreign affairs. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I mean, agree sometimes, but usually not. I mean, like, generally you should stick to international law. So, I mean, that, like, if you, like, constantly break international law all the time, which the United States does, then you're basically a rogue nation on the world stage who, like, is kind of a bully and doing all these, things that go against the law. So, I mean, yeah, I think that generally you should follow international law, but, like, are there, like, a few cases where, like, it could be justified potentially? Yeah, but, like, you should definitely try to avoid that at most junctures. So there is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think there definitely is. I don't think it's as bad as, like, some people might say, but I mean, I definitely think that, entertainment and information can get sort of mixed together in some, definitely not great ways. I mean, our past president, Donald Trump, was a great example of that, who, constantly took up a bunch of, attention in the spotlight because he was very entertaining to watch and see him, like, bumble all over himself. But at the same time, like, a lot of people sort of fell for his misinformation and his constant lies. So, I mean, like, he's a great example of the worrying fusion of entertainment and, information. So, yeah, anyway, gonna be going on. Now the economy. Ooh, we're talking attitudes here, not the FTSE index. What the heck is that? Anyway, people are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. I would agree with that. I think that, obviously a poor person in the United States has a lot more in common with a poor person in, say, I don't know, Switzerland, Britain, than they do with, for example, Jeff Bezos. I mean, like, nationality can definitely be a powerful separator, but like at the same time, class solidarity is definitely something I believe in. But anyway, so controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. This is a topical question considering we're going through some definite inflationary period right now. I'm not an expert in inflation or unemployment or anything like that. I took an economics class in college, but I don't know. I'm going to say disagree, soft disagree. It could go either way for me because I think both are kind of important, obviously, in the economy, but I don't know. I would probably, put more emphasis on unemployment, maybe. I don't know. It could go either way. But anyway, so because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Strongly agree, not disagree. But yeah, strongly agree, very strongly. I mean, corporations obviously need regulation because, the externalities of, harm to the environment that businesses put out. I mean, like, it's not profitable to actually correct these. So that's where you need regulation and you need the government to step in to make sure they're actually, following the rules and not, doing these bad things to the environment. And, the people who would actually, say disagree to this are, I think they're an idiot because, this is, basic economics where, and I learned this in my, college economics class, even though I already knew it, but again, it is not profitable to, take these steps to protect the environment. So, I mean, because the government is supposed to ensure the long-term safety and security of the nation, it should take these steps to protect the environment which we live in, which requires regulating corporations, so definitely, and again, this is a very topical thing because I believe the Supreme Court just, ruled that the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, was unconstitutional and, it didn't have the power to, regulate emissions. And it's oh my gosh, what is fucking happening to the country right now? Seriously, this Supreme Court is out of fucking control, which we're all saying, but, these conservatives were saying, oh, no, these judges are unbiased, blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. No, they're not. Anyway, so, next question. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. I'm mixed about this. I'm left-wing, but I'm not a full-blown, communist or anything like that, and this is obviously a very communist saying. Agree, I guess, tacitly. It depends on how you, would implement it, but I do, I feel like people should have their needs provided for them, not their wants, but their needs is what I have to emphasize. It's not as if everyone just gets, free ice cream or anything like that, but people shouldn't be, forced to starve or anything because they, refuse to work. And, from each according to his ability, people have different abilities that they are able to, put out and contribute to society, and I think that, generally they should be, able to, provide that, and they shouldn't be expected of more, they shouldn't be expected of less, and, I don't think that, people should be forced to work or anything like that, if you don't work, you're going in the gulag or anything like that, but, I still do think it's, a good mantra, even though it has definitely, maybe led to some bad things in terms of its implementation. Okay, the freer the market, the freer the people. Strongly disagree. When you're talking about, the free market, you're talking about, no regulations whatsoever. Well, if you have no regulations, then that just means that, corporations have, basically, they basically have unlimited power to have free reign over the people. So, I do not think this statement is true at all. A free market does not necessarily... a free market, you know what a free market does? Completely free without any regulations. It leads to the most freedom to the, capitalists and the owner class to oppress the working class. So, So no, I do not agree with the statement at all. Like, there are stuff where, for example, if you have protections for workers, you have a minimum wage, you have like child labor laws, then people are freer to not be exploited in the system and like, have access to things that they need. And, so I do not agree with the statement at all. It is a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer project. Strongly agree. Water is. Wait. Yeah, I hit strongly agree. Yes. So strongly agree with the statement. I think it is, a very sad reflection on our society that, drinking water, which everyone needs to survive, is like now a branded consumer project. I mean, water is life. It should be provided to everyone and not like kept from people. And like, yeah, bottled water companies are kind of like, I understand how bottled water can kind of be, useful maybe in some cases where like you could bring it to, these cases where, for example, like if there is, for example, if there's like a, like for example, let's say there's a hurricane. It might be good to like have a bunch of bottled water at the ready. So if you could like pass it out to these survivors that are like dehydrated and stuff like that, that could be a real use for bottled water. But I just feel like how it is so overused and how it is so wasteful, like using all these plastic bottles, and when you could just get like I don't know, tap water when it just is. I never drink bottled water. I only drink water out of a canteen or stainless steel canteen, I guess. But yeah, so I do not. I do strongly agree with the statement. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Disagree. I mean, like, I understand that, like, maybe if we had, I understand that maybe if we had, like, these common areas, that it might be perhaps better, it might be perhaps better so that people would maybe, take better care of other people's property, but at the same time, like, I don't know, I think private property and rights over land can have its advantages. I mean, like, and, like, I don't know, I mean, I just don't really agree with the statement. I think that some land should be definitely federally protected, but at the same time, like, I don't see a problem with, like, a person, owning the land in which they live and, selling it for a price. I mean, I don't really see the issue with that. I mean, so I'm just tacitly disagree with that. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Strongly agree. I mean, like, the financial industry in the United States is like way incredibly like overblown. It is way too tied to the finances of this country. Like, we should put much more emphasis on actual, production and things that actually contribute value rather than the manipulation of money. Like, you see this again, like, and this is so topical because we're seeing like all these crypto bros out there, like, being obsessed with like, crypto and NFTs, which is not like, is literally not contributing anything and is in fact worsening conditions because like it takes so much power and so much electricity to like, generate cryptocurrency. And it's like, so I definitely strongly agree with this statement. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I will agree with this. I think protectionism is sometimes necessary. I mean, like, not always, but like, I think generally, again, globalization, I think, is mostly a good and is nevertheless inevitable, whether you I mean, if the society doesn't collapse, that is. But I do think that protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I mean, like, you're seeing, all these outsourcing deals that the United States engaged in, which, drove a lot of business away from the nation and, led to a lot of not great things. So, I mean, yes, protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade, I would say. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Strongly disagree. No, profit should not be the be-all, end-all. Generally, businesses, if they exist, should be, looking out for the well-being of the workers and of the people they are selling to. It shouldn't just be profit at all costs. That's completely ridiculous and, like, is not healthy for a society. The rich are too highly taxed. the rich are too highly taxed. Strongly disagree. No, the rich are not too highly taxed. They are too lightly taxed. I mean, there's some rich people that are like taxed much less because of like loopholes and deductions, and like they get a lot of their money from the stock market, and like they have it in these offshore accounts where like it's like literally some millionaires and billionaires pay a tax rate of like 1% like in a year. Like Donald Trump, who was the guy who was president, like paid like a few $100s in income taxes like 1 year. I forget the exact details, but it's like it's so ridiculous, like the amount of like loopholes that rich people can get where they like pay almost nothing to the government, where like basically the tax burden is shouldered onto the people who have less ability to pay it. It doesn't make any fucking sense. A progressive income tax is like definitely incredibly sensible, and I completely disagree with this statement. It's ridiculous. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Agree, but not strongly. I mean, like, yeah, like, for example, like, some things, like, I don't know, I mean, like, I feel like, if you do have, a lot more money, then, it makes sense, you should be able to pay for higher standards of medical care, but at the same time, like, I feel like there should be a baseline where, I believe in, universal, healthcare. I believe that, people who, everyone should have healthcare as a human right in this country. I mean, if you have a lot more money, sure, you can get some special private insurance, but like, I mean, like, to get some other stuff done, but like, yeah, everyone should have access to, good healthcare, and like, and there is an argument to be made that, okay, like, if we, sort of make it so that everyone has access to the same healthcare, then rich people and wealthy people will be much more likely to actually, care about the quality of healthcare in the nation and want to succeed more because, obviously it affects them. But like, at the same time, like, I don't know, it just feels like not right to me to forbid people from getting like better healthcare if they have the ability to pay for it. I mean, I don't know. So I would say I agree with the statement mostly. So governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Strongly agree. Businesses should not be able to mislead the public, and they definitely should have consequences for that. I mean, like, personal responsibility, people. Come on. Anyway, so a genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. Strongly agree. I definitely agree with that. Monopolies definitely have a lot of, there's a lot of problems with monopolies and how they are able to, monopolize, for lack of a better term, power in a society. So this is definitely something I strongly agree with. All right, next one. 3 of 6. Ooh, this is going to take a while. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Yeah, strongly disagree with that. Just like I strongly disagree with the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. I mean, these justices, man, they are something else, man. I swear, I fucking hate. Come on. Yeah, no, strongly disagree with that. I strongly believe in the right to an abortion of a woman. I mean, like, it should not be taken away from her. She should be able to make the choice about whether or not she wants to carry a pregnancy to term. So, yeah, strongly disagree with that. All authority should be questioned. Strongly agree with that, definitely. I don't think that, like, if anyone says to you, you should believe this person because they are, they're an authority, like, no, question that. Like, seriously. And this is obviously going back to, the first authority that, I sort of questioned, which was the Lord, which, I was raised in Catholic school. I was raised to believe that, the Lord was the ultimate authority over everything, except, the things I was being taught about the Lord didn't make any sense. And, so I was just taught, hey, you should believe this because we say so. But, like, no, I do not believe that at all. I think that all authority should always be questioned because authority is not always right. Like, being the authority does not mean correctness. It just means power. So, and power can be corrupted. So, yeah, definitely all authority should be questioned. Not keep an open mind, not so open that your brain falls out, though. I mean, like, you see some of these conspiracy theorists like Alex Jones and, like, the Trumpers who, like, have all these conspiracies about the deep state and everything, I mean, like, all authority should be questioned, but you shouldn't automatically, like, not believe all authority. So, I mean, yeah. So, anyway, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. I do not agree with this. I would say disagree with it. I mean, this is, classic Old Testament biblicalism, and it's very cruel in my opinion. Like, it falls under the, like, if you want to take it literally, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. So if someone knocks another person's tooth out, you knock their tooth out. I mean, that seems cruel and unusual, which is against the Constitution. And, I mean, like, but yeah, I mean, I just don't believe in this, morality based around, like, punishment. Oh, we just have to do everything bad that you did onto you. And, like, I don't think it, like, no, I don't. I think that we should be, focused around, punishment and, punishment that actually works that actually works from a, societal perspective. And we know that, like, these states in the country that, like, have these laws where you're able to execute people, like, they don't necessarily have, like, lower crime rates than states where the death penalty is illegal. I mean, like, no, I think that, and again, prisons, we put way too much focus into prisons in the United States on, like, punishment and, making sure people got what they deserve, when, even though, again, that just ends up usually creating more hardened criminals when they get out of prison. That leads to them, being much more likely to go back to a life of crime, where you see these prisons in other countries where, they're focused more on rehabilitation and, like, sort of supporting a healthy environment for prisoners to, like, get better in, which, I mean, like, it just works a lot better, I mean, generally. And we have this emotional reaction to, oh, these people did, like, terrible things, they should have terrible things done to them. And, like, it feels right, but, facts don't care about your feelings, and, like, it doesn't actually work to create a better society. So, I mean, like, I do not agree with this. Should I put strongly disagree? I mean, like, yeah, what the heck? Put strongly disagree. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Disagree, but not strongly. I mean, I feel like, generally, like, well, here's the thing. Like, some, theaters or museums could have, like, they could have a good, use in society for definitely, like, in terms of historic relevance. And, I mean, like, I feel like, some locations like that could definitely be still historically relevant and important for to be maintained, even if they're not necessarily even if they're not necessarily profitable. But I mean, like, I did not put strongly disagree because, I mean, like, obviously some places that are not profitable should probably, not be allowed to be propped up by taxpayers. But I feel like it's some places should, some places probably shouldn't. But I don't really know where to draw the line. But that's what I think about it. Okay, schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. So I disagree with this one. Schools should make classroom attendance compulsory because, like, it's very important for a populace to be educated. And I feel like, obviously I am on the liberal side. I believe in, personal freedoms and stuff like that. But at the same time, I do draw the line at some things. I think that vaccines for children should be mandatory. I think that school for children should be mandatory because, like, it's very important to protecting, the first one, protecting their health. The second one, to protecting their, education and, their development as, and their intellect. So I do disagree with this one. So all people have rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Strongly disagree. No, no, I believe in a multicultural society where, I mean, like, I don't think it's better for everyone to just keep to their own quote-unquote kind. I mean, like, no. No. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Disagree. I mean, like, no, I don't think that parents have to spank their children. Like, there are other ways without, like, physically harming them. I mean, like, for me personally, I was never spanked, and, I think I turned out relatively fine, even though I was sort of a brat as a kid. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like you need to spank your kids. Like, I don't know. I mean, just, no. I disagree with this. So, it is natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Strongly agree. I mean, it's very natural for children to keep secrets from their parents. Like me, for instance. I mean, like, I was keeping a secret for a long time that I was playing Clash of Clans at night, even when they told me to go to bed. So yeah. I mean, I think it is natural for children to do that. Also, I was like masturbating all the time, which I didn't tell my parents until much later. I mean, like, obviously I was in Catholic school and stuff, so I was obviously feeling guilty about that. So that was part of the reason why I didn't want to tell my parents that I was like jerking off and stuff. But yeah, I mean, well, I mean, me personally, I like don't really keep that many secrets, honestly. Like, I very open about a lot of stuff, but I mean, like, yeah, I did still keep like some secrets from my parents when I was younger. So I mean, like, I think it is a very natural thing for kids to do. So I mean, yeah. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. Strongly agree. Free the weed. I mean, like, free all nonviolent drug offenders from jail. I mean, like, I feel like the war on drugs has been, like, so incredibly destructive to the nation as a policy. It's been, like, bad in pretty much every single way possible. So, yeah, I mean, like, marijuana, it's not, like, this super dangerous illicit substance. Like, arguably, it's much less dangerous than alcohol is. So, no, it should not be a criminal offense. Strongly agree. Okay, so the prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Agree, but not strongly. I feel like schooling should also, like, have the function of sort of, obviously people should have a knowledge of, like, even if they're not going into this particular field, school should equip people to know about, it should equip children to know about, like, science, which is very important. Obviously, we live in a society where a lot of people reject science. People should know about politics. They should know about political activism and, like, how to participate in this country and do their patriotic duty. And, like, they should know about that stuff. They should know about finances. They should know how to not get scammed and stuff like that. Like, finding a job should not be the only function of, schooling. And, obviously there's social things as well, like, getting people to come out of their shell and express themselves. Like, obviously, like, all of those things are important, but at the same time, like, yes, school should probably, the main function of it should probably be to equip people to find jobs later in life because, finding work is important. So I think that, yes, I do agree, but there are also a lot of other things that school should provide as well. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. I mean, like, so people with serious inheritable disabilities should not reproduce, definitely, because I feel like that's just kind of cruel, where you're doing something where it has the potential to bring a child into this world who is, very going to suffer a lot because of, the inheritable diseases that they get, but at the same time, should not be allowed to reproduce. I feel like I have to disagree with that, because, like, where do you draw the line? Like, what counts as, like, something that would be allowed to have you reproduce, and something that would not, you would not be allowed to reproduce with? Because I feel like when you get into this case of you're not allowed to reproduce, it just sort of gets into this, kind of, kind of, trying to find the right word for it. It's, it's stuff that, like, I don't know, it's stuff that, like, the Nazis did. Eugenics. Yes, that's the word. It's right on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, it's kind of like when you go into this, like, whole thing where people should not be allowed to reproduce if they have disabilities. Like, it kind of gets into eugenics, where, like, you're trying to, make sure that and again, like, I'm not saying, like, people with, inheritable disabilities, they probably shouldn't reproduce, but I don't feel like they should be disallowed from doing it, because, like, I mean, like, it just sort of gets in this issue of where do you draw the line? Like, could you, like, say that, I mean, like, you could argue that, like, for example, people who are predisposed to Alzheimer's, like, they shouldn't be allowed to reproduce because it's, a serious, inheritable disease. So, I mean, like, I don't feel like it would be a good idea to make this not allowed. So, the most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Strongly disagree. I think the most important thing for children to learn is to think for themselves, not just accept whatever is drilled into them. So, strongly disagree with that. There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. I disagree with this. I mean, like, I understand why people would, like, be in a tizzy about calling certain cultures, like, savage cultures, because obviously, throughout history, this has been an excuse to, like, do horrible things to them and, like, do, commit cultural genocide and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, I don't think it is, I don't think it is, like, a stretch to say that, like, for example, an Islamic theocracy that, like, you know, oppresses women and, like, doesn't allow them basically any rights whatsoever and, like, kills people for being infidels, I don't think it would be a stretch to say that that is a more savage and inhumane culture than, for example, the culture we have in the United States. Now, obviously, the United States had a lot of shit going on for itself, like a lot of stuff that we do, and, like, you know, you could say that, like, you know, maybe the culture of the United States, even though technically the people living in it might not be, you know, as savage, we are still, like, technically profiting off of the exploitation of poorer countries and, you know, creating a lot of these bad conditions. And, you know, we've done a lot of horrible, heinous things in war that should be thought of as very savage, where, you know, who's really the savage? But I mean, like, yes, you can point to some cultures that are more savage than others, and some cultures that are more civilized. So, I mean, like, I do not agree with this. I do not agree with this idea that there are only different cultures. Like, if you have a society that is, like, you know, I don't know, if you like have a society that is, like, you know, has a lot of terrible things in it, I would say that culture is more savage than, you know, a society with less terrible things in it. And I feel like all societies, including the United States, should strive to be less savage and more civilized. You know, so I mean, like, I do not agree with the statement. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. I disagree with the statement. I feel like, you know, obviously I don't believe in this, you know, anti-work, you know, sort of mentality that has sort of been spreading in recent years, where, you know, like, people should only work if they want to work. Like, you know, in a society, like, people should provide for the common good. But, like, at the same time, if people don't want to work, what are we just gonna, like, oh, okay, so you don't want to work, so the punishment is death? Like, I do not agree with that. I don't think that, like, people should die and, like, not have access to food and medical care and housing because they, like, refuse to work. I think that people should have a bare minimum. If they want to have, like, privileges in society, then they need to work for it, obviously. And, like, I think there is a strong, you know, I don't agree with the people who would say that, oh, like, if we gave people handouts and stuff, then they would just, like, stop coming to work. I do not agree with that. I think a lot of people, you know, take pride in their work. Like me, I mean, like, I wouldn't stop working if I just had every bit of my needs provided for me. But, like, at the same time, like, and again, I don't think that, like, people should have a bare minimum. Like, I think it's cruel and inhumane to, like, you know, just take all of the needs away from people who, like, choose not to work. I mean, it's just, anyway, I mean, when you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. When you are troubled. So, this is a political compass test. So, I mean, like, personally, I would agree with this, because, like, when you're troubled, it's probably better not to dwell on it. And I've found that, like, if you just, like, go on to trying to think about other stuff, like, you know, it can help. But this is a political compass test, so this is trying to figure out my politics. So when you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but keep busy with more cheerful things. I think from a political perspective, I have to disagree with this, because if you are troubled about something in society and you think it's wrong and bad, you shouldn't just, like, ignore it and say, oh, I'm just going to bury my head in the sand and think about something else because it makes me feel better. I think you should, like, focus on that and trying to, like, bring attention to it because it's a serious problem and should be fixed. So from a political perspective, I have to disagree with this. Okay, first-generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. Disagree? I mean, like, it could be difficult, and, like, a lot of first-generation immigrants might not be fully integrated with the country, but I don't think it's, like, I don't think it can be never fully integrated. I mean, like, it's, that's an absolute, and, you know, only Sith deal with absolutes. What's good for the successful corporations is ultimately good for all of us. No, strongly disagree. No. What is good for corporations is not, as it turns out, always good for the common man. I mean, no. I mean, again, I reject this. I reject this, mentality of, like profit over all else. Like, it's definitely that is not the way society should be organized. No broadcasting institution, however independent is its content, should receive public funding. I disagree with this. I mean, I feel like, broadcasting broadcasting institutions, like, it is good to, like, provide these, educational, broadcasting stations, as well as, like, because I mean, like, I feel like, again, like, there is the worry that, like, oh, how independent is it really if it's being funded by the government? Like, they wouldn't be, like, well, they would be less critical of the government, obviously, but at the same time, like, when you have these news stations out there that, like, are based on the profit motive, like, CNN and Fox News and all those, like, when they're based around the profit motive and getting as many eyes on the screen as possible, you also run into a lot of issues with that, where it's just based around outrage and, like, getting as many views as possible. And it's just like, so you also run into issues with that. I don't know, like, the exact answer to have a fully unbiased news media outlet, but, like, I don't think I think having one is actually kind of impossible, but at the same time, like, I feel like you should have the option available to you of, like, we have these publicly funded broadcasting institutions, and also these private ones. I think you should be allowed to have both. So, and I think it would be better to have both than only one. Anyway, so moving on. 4 of 6. This is gonna take forever. Okay, so how you see the wider society. Our civil liberties are being excessively curved in the name of counterterrorism. I do agree with this. I mean, like, obviously, you had the Patriot Act, which, NSA spying, stuff like that. I do feel like, counterterrorism is stuff that, like, we're maybe too obsessed with. I mean, like, everyone, like, a lot of people, like, they're so obsessed with, like, oh my gosh, 9/11, it was so terrible. And, like, it was obviously terrible, but, like, a few thousand people died in it, and it happened, like, over 20 years ago, and it's just, like, are we really, like, still on, so incredibly worried about this when again, well, I guess that's a bad example because, like, I was gonna say something about how, like, the most important threat to national security in the United States is actually, right-wing terrorism within the nation domestically. I mean, like, coming from, like, Christian groups and far-right neo-Nazis and stuff like that. But again, like, that sort of does count as terrorism, and I don't feel like, again, even though I do think that, like, terrorism is a problem that should be dealt with, whether it comes from outside the country or within, like, I don't think you need to obsessively, curb civil liberties to stop it. I don't think that's a good trade-off, so I will say I agree with that. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. Okay, I agree with that. I mean, that is an advantage of a one-party state, but at the same time, you also have a lot of disadvantages, which is that, like, there's no opposition to what the government is doing, so the government could be, like, doing a lot of really wrong things that, like, do not work out at all, so, and they're able to push it through, like, effortlessly because there's no contention, so I do agree with this, but at the same time, I don't think it's, like, it outweighs the negatives of a one-party state. So, although the electronic age makes the official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. I disagree with that. I mean, like, first of all, like, we have laws on the books in this country that are, are not necessarily wrong things, in my opinion. Like, for example, recreational drug use. Like, if we have all this surveillance, like, you might have a lot more people, in jail because of things that they did that are not necessarily wrong. So I do not agree with this statement. And, you have this mentality of, oh, like, only wrongdoers need to be worried. But at the same time, though, like, you could, even if you, like, don't necessarily wind up in jail, like, it's sort of, like, an invasion of privacy, like, having everything you do being watched, and like, for example, like, businesses watching you, they could have a lot of power over you with, like, this access to information that they get, and, like, it's just, like, I don't know, I don't feel like people should be surveilled constantly, and, like, so I disagree with that statement. The death penalty should be an option only for the most the death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. I strongly disagree with, well, I disagree with that. I mean, like, there are some cases where I feel like, execution might be the right option, but generally, like, if you have, like, terrorists, for example, who are, like, invading the country, then I feel like, or, like, these criminals who have, like, done horrible war crimes, then maybe the death penalty would be, like, the right thing to do in those cases. But I disagree with this because I generally disagree with, like, the death penalty for citizens within a nation. I don't think, like, the state should be able to execute people like that. And again, like I was, like it has been shown to be, like, the death penalty, it has been used in cases where, like, the person was actually innocent and it was only found out later. So I don't, like, I disagree with this generally, like, but yeah, I do not think that even very serious crimes within the nation should be punished with the death penalty because, like, I don't know, I do not agree with it. And again, there's the whole thing of, like, if person is put in prison, then if it's found they're innocent, they can be released. But if they're given the death penalty, then, that's it. So I do not agree with this. So anyway, so in a civilized society, one must always have people above to be... Wait, hold on. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Commanded? I disagree with this one. I mean, like, no, you shouldn't just... I mean, strongly disagree. No, like, it shouldn't just be, like, master and servant in a society. Like, that's an authoritarian government where, like, people are just, like, supposed to be drones and just, like, obey their leaders and, like, no matter what. And I do not agree with that. I mean, like, it's very authoritarian. So, like, I mean, like, people below, quote unquote, should have, like, the power to influence the people above, because, like, they're in a democracy anyway, like, they're the people that they supposedly elected, so they should represent them. And obviously you have problems with that. Like, I'm not saying, like, you do sort of, like, run into, like, mob rule is a very real thing, and, like, the people below are not always, like, the most logical in what they want to actually happen, but, like, generally, like, no, it should not be, like, a master-servant relationship, like, I mean, in a democracy, people should, the leaders should represent the people they, represent the people. Sorry, I accidentally answered that. Next one. No, in a democracy, the people in charge should represent the people who elected them and, like, not just dictate commands to them. Anyway, so next one, I accidentally answered this, but abstract art that doesn't represent anything should not be considered art at all. I disagree with... Ooh, hey, I already checked the right one, accidentally. So I disagree with this one. Like, abstract art can still be art, even if it does not represent anything. I mean, like, I'm not even the biggest fan of abstract art. I like things that are representative of things in reality, or, like, just representative of... I mean, yeah, I'm not really the biggest fan of abstract art, but I don't think you can call it not art. So, I mean, like, anyway, so in criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. Strongly disagree with that. I was talking about that before with, like, the eye for an eye mentality. I think that rehabilitation is much more important, especially for less serious criminals who have done less, serious acts, where if you're going to release these people back into society, you should generally focus on rehabilitation rather than, just punishing them and pushing them further into, the criminal life. So, I mean, like, it is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. I do agree with this. I mean, like, some criminals, they're just never going to get better. I mean, like, some criminals have just done so many horrible things that, like, are they ever really going to be rehabilitated? So here's the thing, like, with rehabilitation, like, you constantly have these arguments. Well, you think that, like, you think these, like, serial murderers are going to be rehabilitated? And, like, no, I mean, not really. Like, I definitely do think some people are too far gone in that regard. But, like, at the same time, most people aren't. Most people are, like, still, like, they're all still human. They still have the capacity to change if you actually, like, try to get them to change. And, like, so I don't feel like, I don't know, rehabilitation should be a path for most prisoners, but, like, obviously some prisoners, it's never going to work, but, like, in some cases, you don't know. You don't know if someone's actually going to get better and become a contributing member of society, or if they're just going to relapse and wind back up in jail again. But, I mean, like, a bunch of people relapse and wind up in jail again anyway because of the criminal system we have right now. So it's better to actually try to rehabilitate them than not. So I do agree with this, but not strongly. So the business person and manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I disagree with this. I think they have their importance. I did the wrong thing. So I do not agree with this. I think that the writer and the artist are also very important in society. I mean, like the business person and the manufacturer are obviously still important. They definitely provide a lot to society, but at the same time, like the writer and the artist, they're important too. You need to have art. You need to have like writings that are able to influence people. So I do not agree with this. So mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. Yeah, strongly disagree with that one. I hit disagree. I should have hit strongly disagree. But yeah, no, I do not agree with this. A mother's first duty is not to be a homemaker. Abolish gender roles is what I say. Anyway, multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. The plant genetic resources of... What do they mean by this? Do they mean, like, GMOs, genetically modified organisms? Because, like, I do not agree with people who say that GMOs are, like, inherently bad. I think they're, good and useful, actually. So, I mean, like, I don't really know what it's talking about. Like, the plant genetic resources, like, I mean, like, I don't know what it's talking about. I'm just gonna say, like, disagree. I mean, if it's talking about GMOs, then I am pro GMOs, so, I mean, I don't know. But anyway, making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I disagree with this. I mean, like, obviously, I think people shouldn't just be, like... If you're talking about peace, by which, like, meaning no violence against the state, like, yeah, I don't think... Except for instances where, like, the state is, like, super cracking down and being super authoritarian, then, like, you shouldn't, like, do acts of, like, terrorism and violence against the state. But, like, at the same time, making peace with the establishment, no, you should not just, like, tacitly, support the idea that, oh, well, these guys are in charge, so we can't do anything about it, so we should just, like, support them, unthinkingly. I absolutely disagree with that. I do not think making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Anyway, next, oh, jeez. Throat is hurting. Page 5 of 6. If you got through that, okay, you'll find these propositions on religion a breeze. Oh, I think I should, because I have very strong very strong opinions on religion. Astrology accurately explains many things. Strongly disagree. Astrology is complete bullshit. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly disagree. Very strongly disagree. Charity is better than Social Security as means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Strongly disagree, once again. I think that private charity is good, obviously, but at the same time, like, if you want to have a comprehensive system of care for the poor, you need, like, Social Security and, Social Security and universal programs for that. And, like, I mean, like... And again, you see all these instances in the country where, like, you have these really rich people who have these charitable organizations, like, oh, aren't I generous, and all the aid I'm giving to the poor, and look how righteous I am. Like, so you definitely shouldn't tax me because I'm actually using this money for good. But at the same time, these private charities that all these rich people have, like, a lot of the time, it's so that they don't have to pay taxes on the money that they're using. So I do not agree with this idea that, Social Security is, that charity is better than Social Security. Strongly disagree with that. Some people are naturally unlucky. I mean, so what do you mean by naturally unlucky? That they just naturally have bad things? I mean, like, I guess people naturally have, like, bad circumstances in their life, depending on where they are born, like, how they are raised, their genetics and stuff like that. Like, I mean, like, people are naturally unfortunate, but naturally unlucky. I mean, like, I don't believe in, like, the idea of, like, people just having luck that dictates their actions. I do not believe in that. So I guess I would disagree. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Strongly disagree with that one. No, I do not. I would not want my child, if I ever had one, to go to religious school. Even though it would be kind of hilarious, in my opinion. I mean, like, my senior year of Catholic high school was a blast, but, I mean, like, before that, when I actually believed this shit, say I did not appreciate. I mean, I did not appreciate the indoctrination that happened in religious schools. Like, anyway, so yeah, that was a breeze to get through. So finally, a look at sex. Ooh, the freaky deaky. Let's look at this. Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. Strongly disagree. Marriage is an arbitrary concept that we invented. I don't think you can like say that, oh, if you have sex outside of it, it's immoral. No, I do not believe in that. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Strongly agree with that. I strongly believe in the rights of LGBTQ people. Being one, myself, sort of, but not really. I don't know. I'm aromantic, so, I mean, whatever. But anyway, so pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Strongly agree with that. I do not think pornography should be illegal. Like, even if you think that, oh, like, there's all these, like, problems with consuming porn. First of all, like, for some people, maybe. For me, no. I mean, like, you know, I consume porn all the time. I don't think it, like, you know, negatively affects my life in any way. I mean, it's a positive in my opinion, but and again, like the social and societal you know, drawbacks of, you know, making porn illegal and all of the bad things that it would you know, contribute to, I think that is, you know, definitely something very serious as well. So it should definitely still be legal for the adult population. So yeah, I strongly agree with that. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. I strongly agree with this. It is no business of the state on what goes in a bedroom between consenting adults. You know, don't get involved with people's personal sex lives if it's like, again, like if adults are not consenting, or if it's like an adult with a child, yes, the state should get involved with, like, you know, because obviously, like, you know, you don't want that kind of thing. You don't want, like, you know, in these cases where, you know, spouses being abusive to their spouse, like, you know, obviously the state should get involved in situations like that. But between consenting adults who, like, are doing, like, some freaky stuff that they like, you know, or just, again, because between, like, people of the same sex, or, like, between multiple people, like in a like polyamorous relationship, I do not think the state should get involved with that. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Strongly disagree with that. I mean, like, that's like saying no one can feel naturally heterosexual. That's like saying I chose to like boobies. I mean, like, it's completely ridiculous. I mean, like, these days, openness about sex has gone too far. I disagree with this. I think that, like, openness about sex, like, honestly, I think it hasn't gone far enough. I think that we still live in even though sex is pushed everywhere, like in marketing and stuff, because, you know, sex sells, obviously, but I think that people should be more open about sex in the modern day. I feel like, you know, people should be more comfortable to talk about that thing, because talk about that stuff, because, you know, it's a natural part of life, and we shouldn't just treat it as I don't want to hear about it, it's gross and stuff. But, like, I don't know, come on, people, are we like 5 years old? Like, and I've, you know, and my dad, I don't want to like slight him or anything, but, like, yeah, I mean, like, when I talk to him about sexual topics, he gets like uncomfortable and stuff, like, and I don't understand why, because, like, it's a normal, natural part of the human experience. We shouldn't have this puritanical view, like, oh no, I don't want to hear about it, it's gross. So I disagree with this statement. So anyway, all right. So finally, I think it's been like an hour by now. I finally got through the political compass test. So let's see what my standing is. Okay, so the starting point on the original political compass test was in 2001, when we recognized the inadequacies of the standard political measure, left to right, obviously. So yeah, I mean, like, you do have, like, the left to right, where, you know, you obviously have there are people on the left who are very authoritarian. There are people who are very liberal-minded, like me. There are people on the right who are very authoritarian, and then there's, like, libertarians who are, like, much more freedom-loving, and it's certainly fine for discussing economics, but to this day is still widely and wrongly used to describe social attitudes. True. France's National Front, for example, is popularly described as far-right, yet its economic policies have sometimes been left of even the French Socialist Party. True. The party's real extremism is in its social attitudes. That's why we added a social scale. Very true. Yes, you can be, like, left-wing and have very, you know, socially progressive policies, but also, like, not believe in, like, the right to abortion, or the right to gay people to, you know, be together and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a thing. It happens, even though it's not super common. Nevertheless, the more nationalistic and authoritarian a party or individual is, the more right-wing they're still labeled. This, of course, is absurd. Taken to its logical conclusion, it means that the further left a country sits, the more socially liberal its attitudes are. On that basis, North Korea must be a shining model of human rights and social freedoms. Very true, which it's not. I mean, North Korea is horrible. Fuck North Korea. Anyway, conversely, a country may be very right-wing, libertarian in its economics, and be authoritarian at the same time. Singapore is a perfect example. Very true. The Index of Economic Freedom produced by Wall Street Journal and its Conservative Heritage Foundation hails Singapore as the economically freest nation on earth in 2021. Really? All right, on the social scale, however, it's a very different story. The Human Rights Watch details its reasons for finding Singapore a deeply authoritarian state. It is very authoritarian. That's very true. And, they are very... One of the things that I know is it's very anti-gay, and, like, obviously a lot of movies or shows that have, like, LGBTQ content are censored in Singapore and, like, or not allowed to be shown. And, like, obviously, outside of the gay stuff, like, Singapore is also, like, you really have no way to actually, sort of, like, protest against the government or anyway in Singapore. It's just like, yeah, so let's take a look at a few contrasting nations on this chart. So you have North Korea, far left authoritarian, China, which is moderate left authoritarian, Saudi Arabia, which is far right authoritarian, Singapore, which is far right authoritarian. There's no one on the left libertarian axis. What the heck? Maybe that's because nations that are actually like that are kind of not that common. So on the right axis, you have centrist right, which is Uruguay and Switzerland. Really? Switzerland is that right wing? I mean, I did not know that. I mean, I don't know. Really? I mean, like, I would not have expected that. Like, Switzerland is that right wing. I mean, I don't know. Uruguay is currently rated the world's 44th most free economy and a leading Latin American light in social freedoms, from gay and lesbian rights to legalization of cannabis. Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's pretty cool for Uruguay. Switzerland also has a high rating as a libertarian economy while at the same time providing a wide range of social welfare programs. Okay, in common with the Nordic states and a number of other Western... Okay, well, if Switzerland, like, has so many social welfare programs, then why is it, like, so far right? I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense to me. Why? I don't know. It just doesn't make any... That seems wrong. Like, Switzerland should not be that far right. I mean, like, I don't know. Anyway, so even if it does have a libertarian economy. Anyway, with the exception of its Hong Kong region, China maintains strong economic controls. True, though fewer than those associated with a more orthodox ruling Communist Party. That's true. China, like, it's not correct to say that China is a communist nation at the moment. It used to be, but definitely not anymore. In recent years, China has shifted closer to the totally repressive social climate of North Korea, while the economy is also under absolute control of the state. Very true. Saudi Arabia has veered further towards a libertarian economy in recent times, but with no real relaxation of its sweeping authoritarian powers. Very true. All right, so my political compass test. All right, so economic left-right is negative 7.13, and the social libertarian authoritarian is negative 5.54. So yes, it is libertarian left-wing, which I knew it was going to be because it was the last time I checked. But I think actually I have moved a little bit more over to the left since I last took it, which was like 2 years ago. So that's interesting. Yeah, I'm becoming more commie as we speak. But yeah, I mean, like, I'll put up right now a picture of what it used to be when I took it like 2 years ago or so. It's up on the screen now. I'll do it in editing or whatever. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's basically my political compass test. That's where I stand on things. I mean, so that's basically what I think about the whole matter. I mean, so, I mean, like, yeah, I probably have moved more left-wing over the years. I mean, obviously, so for me, I used to be, when I was, like, if you can even say I had a political compass, like, when I was a kid, I definitely used to be more right-wing and more authoritarian, so I would be in the blue. I mean, but that was when I was, like, a kid in Catholic school, so I didn't really know a ton about politics, but I just generally believed in that sort of mentality. But obviously, now I've shifted, and I'm on the exact opposite spectrum. I'm left libertarian. So yeah, I believe in personal freedoms. I also believe in, protection against the, protection against, corporate greed and stuff like that. And I think that, privatization and, the attainment of money can have a lot of negative impacts on society when that is basically what society is based around. When, that, obviously, it's not really the best thing to organize society around. I think the profit motive gets in the way of, like, actually doing the right thing and actually progressing society in a lot of ways. So I'm not like a communist. I'm not like an anarchist or anything like that. But I am like, maybe I will be with the direction that things keep going in this God-forsaken nation, literally, because, obviously God isn't real. So, he's automatically forsaken, just like all nations are. Anyway, so, I mean, forsaken implies that, God was ever on America's side. So I guess not really God-forsaken, just, but anyway, so, yeah, anyway. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically, it's basically where I stand on the issues. I am, libertarian left, which, hope you guys enjoyed me going through the political compass test and, seeing where I stand on everything. So depending on how well this video does, and tell me in the comments below if you ever want me to, like, do another political compass test, because this one is relatively simple. It just goes on a, like, 4-axis, scale, but, like, there are also other, there's just 4 boxes to be sorted in, and it goes from just like top to bottom, left to right. But but there are also other political compass tests that I could take. Like, for example, there is the 8 values and the 9 axes tests that I think are probably better on actually shaking up where you fit on the political spectrum. So if you guys ever want me to do those and take more political compass tests, if you like this, then just let me know in the comments and I will do it, because, I'm all for, satiating my subscribers and, so let me know, I guess. And anyway, so basically, well, this is the end. This has been the Skeptical Skeptic, taking a political compass test. Please be sure to like it, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, remember, be compassionate, be understanding, but most importantly, never stop questioning. Bye.